Another video today. Al-Khwarizmi. Al-Khwarizmi. The unknown. Many people don't know him. Ask anyone in the street about this person, and yet he's probably one of the most influential people in history because we should not underestimate the power of algebra. And all you teenagers taking it in high school, you might say, wow, it's just something I have to take in high school. It is the fundamental math that you need for higher math, like calculus, for example. And it has a systematic method for solving equations and relationships needed for science, needed for economy, needed for technology and so forth, medicine. And here's the father of algebra, Al-Khwarizmi. And when we think of the word al in there, and we're going to go over some of the a problem. We're going to do an algebraic problem in Al-Khwarizmi's time, and he lived there in the Golden Age, Islamic's Golden Age. He lived about 780 A.D. So let me write that down. Right over here, 780 A.D. or CE, whatever you want to use. And then during that time in Europe, Charlemagne was ruling in Europe. And of course, the Maya in the Western Hemisphere were flourishing. And his real name would be Muhammad ibn Musa, and so that means son of Musa. And he was from, because the al is like from or the. So he's from this area called Khwarizm, and that would be in present-day Uzbekistan. Say that twice, Uzbekistan. So he lived in the Persian Empire around 780 A.D. So let's look at a map of that. All right. So over here you see this is the Caspian Sea, and this is the Aral Sea over here. So right around here somewhere was where he lived, and the Persian Empire was much bigger. So he was, you can say, a Persian and the father of algebra. Now, he didn't invent it, like I said, but he's the father of algebra, just like Euclid's the father of geometry. And we could say that Newton is the father of calculus. And so he wrote many books because he also did a lot of things with geometry, geography, I should say, and astronomy. And so he wrote this book, in English we can say is the compendious book of calculations by completion and balance. The word completion is what algebra means. Algebra means the completion or the balance, and that's what we do in algebra. And that's all algebra is using letters and symbols like these variables to represent numbers and quantitative ideas. We're trying to find values. We're trying to predict things. We're trying to look at expressions, mathematical relationships. And I'm going to go over a problem if we went back in time to the Persian Empire. So here's a problem we'll go over. And by the way, Al-Khwarizmi also helped with the Hindu numerical system that we use today. So instead of using the Roman numerals, like let's say we had, if we can get my thing working here, get my pen working. Doesn't want to work today. Try it again. So, I mean, would you want to see this plus this equal this? No, we don't want that. Instead, we want 8 plus 9 equals 17. That's what we want, right? And so Al-Khwarizmi, he helped with that, bringing that numerical system into Europe. So let's look at this question here. Let's erase this. So we have a problem where a merchant, say a merchant back in time, he buys turmeric, spice, at a cost of 5 dirhams. And I'll go over what dirhams was, because that was the currency of the time in Persia, per kilogram. A kilogram was not used, so we should change that, actually. Instead of kilograms, they would have used, I'll just cross that kilograms out, quintars. Quintars with a Q. Quintars. So, per quintar, he wants to sell turmeric at a price of 9 dirhams per quintar. Just put a Q there. And the merchant also needs to cover a toll cost of 30 dirhams and aims to make a profit of 400 dirhams. So imagine you got this question, like, hey, I want to make this profit. You've been hired. You learned algebra from Al-Khwarizmi. So what do we do? How do we set this up? Well, Let's do it. And this is not a hard one. We already know what we want to have, right? We already know we want to make 400. And we could just say dirhams or dollars, whatever you want to use. And then we know that that we want to sell them for 9, and we'll just put 9x for this one, right? But we have to buy them at 5x, and you can use any variable here, it doesn't matter. And we also have that toll, pesky little toll, congestion pricing. Gotta get rid of that. And this is what we have here, right? So then we can just combine like terms. So we have $400 equals 4x minus 30. And of course, now we've been doing algebra. Here it is. And you're doing it very quickly, right? So we're not going to add 30 on both sides. We know that. We know algebra. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So we have 430 equals 4x, and we divide the 4 on both sides. And we know that x will equal about 107.5. Now we have to ask ourselves, 107.5 what? Well, that's the amount, and we're not using kilograms, that's quintars. He needs to buy, or she, whoever this merchant is, needs to buy 107.5 quintars of turmeric to make the profit they want. And that's what you'll tell the merchant. And he'll be happy if he makes that profit. Of course, he has to sell it. And by the way, if we want to know what a dirham was in today's pricing, it's kind of hard to figure out. But we know that dirham was made of silver. And it was made of, right over here, around 2.9 grams, probably a little more, of silver. We just have to look at what silver is today. Now, silver goes up in price every day. Right now it's at around $32, but, it can go up and down and up and down. It's a precious metal. So if we just look at, let's say, we know there's 28 grams of silver. So 28 grams, we shouldn't say of silver, 28 grams in an ounce. Just writing on an angle today. Kind of a different way of doing things. My pen's acting up. Well, if it's 28 grams an ounce, and we know that silver is around $30, we can say that the price of a dirham was probably around $3. We just say it could be $3, a little more than $3. So it's like $3, right? Or you could just say $5, right? Just to give you an idea of how much this person is spending. All right, well, that's our